what I want to talk about is self-forgiveness. When I realized, and this took me a long time, that what I really want is to be here, to be unmoved, to see what I can do with my life, what am I going to do to help other people, and how that goes, on a small level, interpersonally, to in a larger scale down the line, a lot of the larger scale direction I take my life. With these things, it becomes everything. It doesn't really matter where you're coming from. You do what you can do with what you have, and to just have that direction in your life that what you want to do is be here, be the best you can be. What I've found is that isn't to be in a dream, that isn't a lot of things, a lot of things I still have to work through, but in self-forgiveness, along with that guideline of this is where my life is going, to be here, to be stable, to be unmoved, to be improving, when you take apart certain things, when you start getting rid of certain emotions and feelings, and you start to really be here, and it just gets deeper, like who you are here becomes more satisfying, something that you're working on, It's hard to really put into words, and I'm just getting to a point where I can sit down like this more often, but so with self-forgiveness, it becomes, what can you give to yourself, and how much are you willing to put into yourself. And for me, growing up, I'm having to fight a lot of my lack of discipline, and just the way I was raised, and why, why if we, in more first world, become more lazy, more expecting gratification, and but with self-forgiveness, it's that you can build that discipline, and you can really become anything, and I'm starting to get, that that picture of who I want to be, and what I'm doing with my life. It's something that you would have to just do to really understand, if you're stressed out all day, and then you go home and you just get on your computer and drink or whatever, or smoke weed, and then you wake up and things are changing, but only in your mind, like you're waking up differently, but it's really, you're not really stepping out of that, stress, kind of curving it. But just for me and what I've seen, when you take your stress and you're able to just write it out, you take your anger, anxiety, a lot of the good feelings too, they're just on the other end, so you feel good for a minute, someone makes you happy, and then that person's not always going to be there, and they're not always going to make you happy, you're going to be depressed. So just the whole spectrum, just to be able to take that all on, and what you're going to be able to do, just to anyone who can relate to what I'm saying, if you're going to try self-forgiveness, I'm really saying that to me, it's the only thing that, matters. And that, I mean, of course you're living your self-forgiveness too. It's something you write and you speak, but then you live it. So, I mean, everyone's living forgiveness in their own way, but I don't know, to put it in words, I guess, and to live it through, you're directing yourself in what you want to live in self-forgiveness. So you gotta, think we really aren't that disciplined, like I was saying, and we're not that directive. You get up and then you have your instincts and your intuitions, maybe you're psychic, maybe you predict things, maybe you've got your personality, the way you were trained to do things. But really, at what point do you make that deliberate decision and say, I forgive myself that I've accepted and allowed myself? And that's why the speaking it is being direct. You're saying, this is what I'm doing, It's you not just programmed to do things a certain way, you taking that deliberate, intentional, this is who I am, this is what I'm doing, And it's finally there for me, I wanted to go do things my own way, and I was stubborn, and I'm glad that I, went out and saw, like, you're hopeless if you're doing anything else. Well, after like, once you try self-forgiveness and you know that it works, I mean, to me, I knew it's the only thing that mattered, and I didn't use it for a couple of years. I wanted to just do my own thing. I had a lot going on. This is something I talked about in my last, video in my history with Destiny. Okay, so to me, in going away for so long and just seeing, like, comparing it, just 1 year, that I've just really been on top of just doing the self-forgiveness every day, compared to just 2 years of trying to figure things out my own way. I'm glad I went out and I found out nothing else is going to work. Nothing's going to break me. I don't need to, be enlightened or be shown anything else. I'm not curious for anything else. I don't care, about anything else, in the sense that I know this is what works. And that took me a long time to be able to say that. I'm not just saying that. I've been walking this stuff for years and years, from a young age, and I couldn't imagine, what could break me and convince me that self-forgiveness is something that doesn't matter, that isn't just the point of my whole life, to say, I forgive myself, this is what I'm doing, I'm letting go of that, this is how I'm changing, this is how I'm adapting, this is what I'm becoming, this is my statement as just a living being, this is who I am now, and that's what it is. I've never even really put it into that kind of phrasing before, but that is what it is, and that's why it matters. You're not just a personality to do things a certain way, you decide who you're going to be, and you stand up for that, and you stand up for it within yourself, because you're the one who's going to be your own worst enemy every day. So, just to kind of through a day-to-day, because I mean, to me that's important, you're stressed out, you go home, you write it out, okay, in self-forgiveness. Just from me to myself in this video, I know that works, right? Of course I'm going to do that. I'm going to write it out. I'm not going to be as stressed the next day. I'm not going to stop it completely. I'm going to maybe I'll be more stressed, maybe I won't really hit things quite right. But you keep going until you get to that point where, you're on the ball, you get things rolling, you're stressed out one day, you write it out, you're going to be less stressed, you keep improving. What you can do from there, because think about how that stress builds up. When you're not stressed, you go home, now I don't want to just, play as much games, now I want to do more, I want to be more, You know, I want to see, you know, what's limiting me and what I can do and what I can do for others. And that's why, you know, you start with yourself. You think, my life sucks, you know, I stressed out at work and I just want to drink and smoke my weed or whatever, and somehow you just become your own victim to this cycle. Like, if everyone was doing this, things would be really different, you know, because just from my own perspective, I'm really saying you'll become so happy so fast, you know, or just be able to tackle your problems so easy. You don't need to go to some psychiatrist and have them bounce things back out off you, you know. You can just take them apart. It's what I'm saying is, this is how you live a good life. This is how you become content. You know, this is what you're looking for. If you're looking for something, you know, spiritual or just anything and anyone, it just starts here with you. And I know, you know, how it all works. Well, I know how to get there in self-forgiveness, and you know, I don't know if I was lucky that I found this stuff or why, you know, why me kind of thing, but 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 I did, and this is what I wanted to share.